With the New York Rangers having a fairly quiet offseason so far, they could look to make a big splash by going out there and acquiring Trevor Zegras, the young forward from the Anaheim Ducks, in a possible trade at some point throughout this offseason. It's a possibility. It's not guaranteed to happen by any means, and he very well could stay on the Ducks for this upcoming season, but he is a guy who has been kind of floated around in trade talk / rumors over the last kind of year or so, you could say. So there definitely is a possibility that he could get moved, and it does seem like the Rangers could be one of those teams that are interested in going after Zegras and possibly trading for him. And according to the fourth period, the Montreal Canadiens, Philadelphia Flyers, Nashville Predators, Chicago Blackhawks, Boston Bruins, New York Rangers, Calgary Flames, and Buffalo Sabres are currently in the mix for Zegras. His report came out less than a week or so ago, so fairly recent here, but there have been, like I said, quite a few rumors, over the last kind of month or so, but also the deadline and a bit last offseason, kind of talking about a possible trade that we could potentially see, for the last while here. So, will it happen? We'll have to wait and see. It's definitely not guaranteed that it'll get traded, but there have been some rumors and kind of buzz, possibly saying that the Ducks may be open to possibly trading him, and it may not be cheap because he is, a young, talented forward, still under contract for this season and next, but also will be an RFA once that kind of expires. So he's not going to be a guy, like Kakko, for example, getting moved for possibly cheaper than his value you'd hope it to be as a Rangers fan. This is a guy who's going to have quite a bit of value and is definitely not going to move for anything too cheap, but could be a nice, target for the Rangers here after they didn't decide to go out there and spend big on some older free agents, who obviously got paid quite a bit, but also got paid long-term as well. A guy like Jonathan Marchessault, who I am a big fan of and really wanted to see the Rangers sign. That'd be a great fit alongside two good goal scorers in Kreider and Zibanejad. Marchessault ended up signing a 5-year deal with the Nashville Predators with a cap per season of $5.5 million. A good contract for this year and the next year, maybe the first 3 years of that deal, but the last 2 or 3 definitely might not look too great. So that's kind of the issue, and I'm sure why the Rangers kind of didn't decide to go out there and spend big in free agency, because a lot of guys got paid a lot of money, but also got paid long term as well. So this could be a nice move here to get a young winger in here who's also can play center as well. He can play any forward position. He's a versatile guy. He's still very young, turning 24 in March. He's currently 23 years old, so he's still very young and still developing as well. It's not like he's a finished product by any means. He's a guy you could possibly look to trade for now and then in the coming years as well, whether it's this year or the next season after that, could possibly end up taking a pretty big step forward in his overall game, considering he is still only 23 years old. Taking a look as well, though, the Rangers have been a team kind of consistently kind of rumored to be interested in possibly trading for Trevor Zegras for a while now. So this could be a good time to kind of make that deal happen. The Rangers have some kind of young players all in this roster right now, could possibly get moved, as well as some good prospects who are pretty much NHL ready, and some good picks as well. And we have all of our first round picks. So there definitely could be a possible trade to happen. We'll take a look and get more in depth on what the kind of Anaheim Ducks would truly want in a deal for Trevor Zegras possibly. But carrying on here though, and taking a look at some of the kind of pros and cons of trading for a guy like Zegras, and kind of talking about whether or not he would be a good fit for this team. So starting off here with the pros, like I said, Zegras is still only 23 years old, turning 24 in March, so still a very young player. He also is a former U.S. NTDP player, so National Development Program player of the U.S. there. Chris Drury seems to like those players a lot. Has drafted quite a few of them over the last couple of drafts, so maybe, Drury is kind of a little more inclined to trade for a guy like Zegras there, knowing he is a National Development Program player. Maybe have some little more insight on a guy like this, possibly. We also know Zegras has played left wing, center, and right wing at the NHL level with the Anaheim Ducks, so he's got great versatility there. He can play all 3 forward positions, which is very nice. And we do know the Rangers have had a fairly quiet offseason so far as well, and this could be the perfect kind of guy to add in here, to who's a top 6 caliber forward who could either be possibly, that third line center there, and you move up a guy like Chytil possibly to play alongside guys like, Kreider and Zibanejad, or maybe you have a guy like Zegras go to the wing there, or maybe a guy like Chytil could possibly also be in the trade there. But if you make a deal for a guy like Zegras there, you're opening up a lot of different kind of possibilities and options, and obviously a guy like Zegras could be a pretty nice kind of fit alongside 2 great goal scorers for the most part, and guys like Kreider and Zibanejad. Having a very, very talented playmaker in a guy like Zegras could be a really great fit alongside 2 good goal scorers. That could make a lot of sense for this Rangers team. It's just going to help also provide some great depth, because then you're pushing down a guy like Riley Smith to that third line there. We'll have in the center possibly Chytil there, and then a left wing you could have a guy like Brennan Othmann or Will Cooley or another prospect. So that could provide some just honestly phenomenal depth for this team, and honestly just kind of really bolster this top 9, which we kind of need to add in another very talented forward, and this could be the perfect fit because he also is a guy who has 2 more years left under contract with a $5.75 million cap hit. And for what he can bring, that is not too bad at all for this year and next year. Once his contract has expired as well, he is still an RFA. He also seems to be a very good skater out there on the ice. A pretty kind of shifty guy out there, very agile, great kind of edge work, very kind of good mechanics as well. So definitely could be a kind of nice fit there. Adding in some good speed, good skating ability would not be a bad idea. And also is an absolutely phenomenal playmaker. Definitely has very high offensive hockey IQ, very good vision, just in general, a phenomenal passer. So that is definitely a big kind of addition possibly as well to potentially go alongside somewhere on the power play, whether it is power play 1 or power play 2. Having his kind of playmaking skills and kind of vision out there on the ice would be very nice. He also has just very kind of great overall kind of high-end offensive skill as well. Great hands there, great digs, but a very smart offensive player, which is definitely a good thing to have with all that great skill there. He is a pretty smart player offensively, although at moments he definitely can turn the puck over a little much. And he also does have a pretty good kind of goal-scoring ability there. Not some elite goal scorer, not going to put up, like 40 goals a season, but definitely has a pretty good goal-scoring ability as well. He also is a player who produces quite well at even strength, which we know with guys like Kreider and Zibanejad can be a bit of an issue at moments. So putting him alongside them could really kind of help produce more points on that second line there at even strength, which is a need for them. I mean, at moments, they can definitely go pretty quiet, even on the power play as well at moments, but in general, at even strength, Kreider and Zibanejad can have their moments when they're not producing much at even strength. So putting a guy like this alongside them who does very well at even strength could be a very nice fit. And taking a look now at the stats, he ended up having 31 games played this past season after suffering a broken ankle in January, but still ended up having 6 goals, 9 assists, 15 total points, and had 5 of his 6 total goals at even strength and 9 of his 9 assists at even strength as well. They only had 1 power play point out of the 15 total points he had, so very good offensive production at even strength there, which is great to see. The previous season back in 2022-2023, as a 21-year-old, that season ended up having 81 games played, 23 goals, 42 assists for 65 total points, and 19 out of his 23 total goals were at even strength, and 29 of his 42 total assists were at even strength as well. So not too bad there at all. Like I said, is a great point producer at even strength that has been so over pretty much his entire NHL career so far. And he also was a guy kind of averaging around 17 to 18 minutes per night, something around there for the most part, over entire career average 17 minutes and 51 seconds, so not too bad there at all. Some more of the pros about Trevor Zegras there is the fact that he's not necessarily a liability defensively. I mean, he's not some Selke winning kind of guy out there, not a penalty killer at all, but is still a solid defensive forward, not a great one, not even, I would say, a good one, but definitely not a bad one out there, not a liability. He's a decent two-way forward, which is kind of nice to see out there, because some people may think that he's kind of a liability out there, which he's not necessarily. He's not a great defensive guy, but definitely not too bad at all. He also is a very fun and entertaining player to watch. So, throughout the entire regular season there, you're going to have some entertainment factor with him. Even when the Rangers are winning games, at moments you're still going to see, some fun hockey out of a guy like Zegras there, where some other guys, definitely don't have that kind of, entertainment factor that a guy like Zegras definitely does have. And obviously from the Michigan goals he scores and those kind of, great plays, he definitely has some great entertainment value that he definitely brings to any team he goes to. And being an MSG there would definitely be a pretty cool thing to see. Zegras also does not have great size at 6 foot, 185 pounds, and kind of leading into that as well is he's not a very physical guy, which the Rangers could definitely use more of size and physicality. He's not going to bring a ton of that. At 6 foot, 185 pounds, he only has 16 hits this past season in 31 games played, then 46, then 56 there. So not a very physical guy, not too soft out there, but is not a super tough and gritty player, which is something the Rangers could use more of at some point throughout this offseason, whether added now or possibly at the trade deadline as well. He also is a pretty bad face-off guy, unfortunately. This past season had 38.4%, then 41.4%, then 39.9%, and 43.8%. So not a great face-off guy by any means. Very bad, honestly, so that's kind of a downside with him, definitely a con. He also is not a penalty killer, which isn't the biggest deal in the world because he's a great offensive talent, but it's not a good face-off guy, and definitely is not a great PK guy either, which, like I said, if he's playing center there, you kind of like guys who can play on the penalty kill and kind of can be good face-off guys, which he's definitely not, so might be a better fit on the wing alongside guys like Kreider and Zibanejad. He also does have moments when he's turning over the puck a little too much, so that can definitely be a bit of an issue. He also has yet to play a single game in the playoffs in the NHL with the Anaheim Ducks. They're obviously not being a great team. They have not made the playoffs there with Zegras, unfortunately, so he has no playoff experience at all, which is a bit of a downside there. And now taking a look kind of what a possible kind of price tag could look like for someone like Zegras there and kind of pieces they could be interested in getting from the Rangers if a deal were to happen. I think it would start off with some guys like possibly Kakko and or Chytil. I don't think it's going to be, just picks and prospects, as we see here from a report saying that it is now reported what Verbeek, the general manager of the Anaheim Ducks, would require in exchange for the talented forward, being Zegras, is nothing short of a, quote, big price, and he's uninterested in a package centered around picks and prospects, which is exactly what I kind of figured he'd be looking for, is not just picks and prospects. I mean, I'm sure he wouldn't be against taking on, a first-round pick and or a high-tier prospect, like a Brennan Othmann or a Gabe Pro, which I don't really want to give up either of those in this kind of a deal. Maybe it is a Brett Berard or a Adam Zakora or Bryce McConnell-Barker or a Noah Laba. There are some pretty talented prospects in this Rangers system other than guys like Othmann and Perreault, and I mean, I'm sure they'd obviously want some good talent back in return, whether it is, value-wise with picks and prospects, but also guys like Filip Chytil or Kaapo Kakko possibly. I'm sure they'd want guys like Braden Schneider or K'Andre Miller. I'd be kind of reluctant to give them away. I would be more obviously willing to give away guys like, Filip Chytil and Kakko there. So I think I'm kind of interested to see kind of what they truly want in return, but I'm guessing it would be kind of more centered around guys like Kakko and or Filip Chytil there. So maybe it is both those guys going the other way, or maybe it is at least one of them, because I don't think, like I said, you're just going to be able to get, picks and prospects for a guy like Zegras there. I don't think it makes a lot of sense for a team like the Ducks there, who have had a ton of draft picks, going forward, but also in the past few drafts as well. They've got a lot of great prospects, a lot of picks, so there's no reason for them to really kind of get a ton more of that. I'm sure they want to look more towards guys who can help them at the NHL level right now, who are kind of young, which Filip Chytil and Kakko are definitely, and getting a guy like Chytil there as well, who's kind of locked up for the next couple of years under a fairly reasonable contract, might not be a bad idea, but with the concussion issues and stuff like that, that might kind of obviously hinder his value a bit there. So maybe it is Kakko and Chytil plus a little extra. That's a possibility there. I don't think it's just going to be, Chytil or Kakko straight up. It's definitely not going to be that. I think it'll definitely be more than that. So maybe both those guys plus a little more there to get Zegras would not be a bad trade package by any means, in my opinion. But let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts on a possible Trevor Zegras trade to the New York Rangers. What would you be willing to give up? Would it be Chytil and or Kakko plus some other stuff? Let me know your trade package in the comment section down below. I'm really curious on what you all think would be a good kind of fair deal for both sides. And also don't forget to comment down below your thoughts on this trade in general. Who else do you want to see the Rangers target this offseason? And definitely hit that like and subscribe button for daily New York Rangers content. I post every single day. I do not miss a single video. So if you are a Rangers fan, this is the place to be. Definitely hit that like and subscribe button for more Rangers content. I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.